All right, we're live now. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. I'm here today with Jon, co-founder of Tutorials Dojo, and we're
Hi.
here today to share our advice on how to ace your next AWS certification exam. So Jon will also be sharing his top tips on how cloud learners can use their AWS skills to improve their career through contracting, freelancing, and other side hustles. So really exciting live stream today. And for those tuning in live, we'll be announcing a giveaway very soon that you can participate in. There's around 50 Tutorials Dojo resources that we'll be giving out for free, and these include video courses, practice exams, and ebooks. Welcome to the live stream, Jon. How are you doing
Hi.
today?
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks for having me. And hi, everyone from, I think I see everyone here from the Philippines, Australia, Toronto, India. What's else? So, yeah, hello, everyone. And also from South Africa. Hey, thank
Oh,
you for
wow.
coming in.
Thanks for being here. I'm just reading the comments now as well. So for those joining, please let us know where you're tuning in from, maybe what time it is over there for you, because I know a lot of you ended up staying up late or waking up early for the live stream. So we really, really appreciate it. So Jon, I started my AWS certification journey around 2.5 years ago. And back then, I remember so many people were recommending Tutorials Dojo resources to me and said that it was the best place to do AWS practice exams. And since then, you've helped so many cloud learners pass their AWS certification exams. So I'm sure a lot of the audience are quite familiar with Tutorials Dojo and all the resources that you've been providing to the community. So
Yes.
for those who don't know you and for those who are maybe new to AWS certifications, do you want to share a bit about your journey with Tutorials Dojo and just how you've been able to help people with learning AWS Cloud?
Sure. So, again, hi, everyone. I'm Jon Bonso. I'm the co founder of Tutorials Dojo. We're an AWS training partner with digital capability. That means we provide free courses and, of course, premium courses for let's say video courses, practice exams, ebooks, and such. And well, just a quick information about me. I'm originally from the Philippines, yes, and then I migrated to Australia, and then right now, actually back in the Philippines, but managing our offshore team here in the Philippines. So, like Lucy mentioned, I started off my career like way back in 2007. I was a Java developer back then. And then before I worked here in the Philippines for after graduation. So again, the whole thing about that is like Java, right? Java certification, Cisco certification, and certifications back then is quite a big thing. And then I worked in Singapore for 3 years, and after what I went to Australia. No? And in all those transitions, I and there's a lot of employers that I work with. It's a total of 12 or over 12 companies. Did you believe that? 12 companies in 3 different countries. So I can provide some feedback and, of course, my personal experiences on how powerful those certifications are. And of course, during those times when I was in Australia, in Sydney, moved there on 2014. So 2014, 2015, 2016. Back then, I got my permanent residency, so I was able to have my own personal job, and then I have my day job, and at night I'm doing online courses. As mentioned, I was a Java developer back then, but in Sydney, times has changed. It's now JavaScript. So people are talking about Angular, React, and also all of those things. So I have to adapt. So that's why I became a full stack developer doing JavaScript, TypeScript, and everything. I've done a lot of contracting as well. I'm a go-getter. So for contracting, it's quite different in probably in the Philippines or in Australia or in the US or in a different country. In Australia, you have this called per day or contract rate, meaning they can provide you, let's say, $700 per day gross pay, or even as much as $1,000 Australian dollars per day. So that's big for
Wow.
contracting. So I
Yeah.
used to work with, would you believe it? Again, 12 companies, different companies. I worked with Telstra, I worked with Woolies, I worked with Macquarie Bank, those big Australian companies, even for News Corporation, News Corp for media. So it's quite a lot, different
Mhm.
companies, different setup, and of course, different needs. Again, and after that, in 2019, actually left the corporate world, started my own business with the Tutorials Dojo. And right now, we're over half a million users and subscribers for Tutorials Dojo. So that's a quick thing about me.
That's amazing. So what I'm gonna do now is a lot of people are starting to ask about the giveaway, and a lot of people are here for the giveaway. So what I'm gonna do,
Sure.
yeah, I'll just quickly share the slides, before people keep asking. So here, okay, let me just see. Here is the QR code that people can use to join the giveaway. For
Okay.
the free resources, and I'll just pop a link in the chat before we continue our convo. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing your career journey. I really like how you mentioned that sometimes, tech evolves really quickly. You started off, you were involved with like JavaScript and like JavaScript courses, but then you realized that, cloud became really big and there was a huge demand for cloud.
Yes.
So it's really important to adapt in your career. And we can talk more about this later when we talk about, how to improve your cloud career and your tech career in 2023 when we provide advice to people. But yeah, really good takeaway there, even just from the start of the live stream. So for those watching, please pop in your questions into the chat and we'll get back to them as we go along in the live stream. But first of all, I like to focus on some of the questions that we have right here on the screen, which some of the questions the viewers have been submitting, and I've just collated a list of the most frequently asked questions that people want answers to. So Jon, first question I want to ask, and I've gotten this question a lot, and sometimes I'm not really sure what the correct answer is, because I don't really know if there's a correct answer, but which AWS certification is right for you? When people ask me this question, which AWS certification is right for me, how do you provide advice on, whether they should start with Cloud Practitioner, Solutions Architect Associate, or maybe another certification?
Okay. So the linchpin or the actual the center point, the focal point of that question is, it depends on your goals. So what is your goal? Do you want to be certified because you want to upgrade your skill? Are you currently a fresh graduate who wants to wants to enter the tech or FANG companies? So it actually depends. So before I answer that question, let me share my story now. My first ever certification. I actually took the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate exam, the very first version. It's SAA-C00 in 2018. My goal back then, yes, as mentioned, I was contracting. I want to become a solutions architect. Why? Because it pays over $1,000 per day, gross per day in contracting. No, so it's a big thing. No, I'm a developer, and then I want to be an architect or an application architect. That is actually my goal. And apart from that, I also want to take the TOGAF certification. So those are my whys, right? So for again, it depends on us. As mentioned, in our for this top chat you see here, people have different, even in different countries. No? Certifications, if you're a fresh graduate, probably if you want, you can take your Cloud Practitioner Essentials or Cloud Practitioner exam. If you're a developer, of course, you can have the Developer Associate and then move on to DevOps if you want. And then if you're a network engineer, of course, you don't have to do Solutions Architect or Developer Associate, but you can take the Network AWS Advanced Networking Specialty. So it depends on different people. So yeah, you have to just focus on your plan, and of course, you have to orchestrate which certifications is right for you. Probably you don't need to take all of the AWS certifications, but again, it depends on your goal.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Set a goal and then work backwards from it. Usually the beginner one is the Cloud Prac, but if people have a networking interest and they already have some knowledge with cloud and networking, maybe they can do the networking certification. And you have resources for all of them, right? For all of them on Tutorials Dojo.
Yes. As mentioned, we're an AWS training partner, so we also provide those free courses that you can see in Skill Builder. So they have AWS Skill Builder. They have courses there, right? It's also available on Tutorials Dojo platform since we're an AWS training partner. And yeah, of course, again, we have the practice exams, ebooks if you want to. We also have our video courses with hands-on labs. Yeah, the resources are quite plentiful, I would say. It depends on, of course, your motivation to succeed. So yes.
Nice. Okay. Sometimes people ask me, which brings us to the second question, is an AWS certification enough to land a job? So I did actually make a video about this on my YouTube channel where I said it really depends.
Mm,
It's not enough necessarily to give you all the skills to land a job, but it's a really, really good starting point. You can use that as a starting point to then build hands-on experience, to then, put that on your resume, build some cloud projects, and then demonstrate to the employer that you have the relevant skills to start on the job. But what is your perspective on this? Do you think AWS certifications are enough to land a job? And if not, what do you recommend students or cloud learners do on top of getting a certification to then land a job, whether in AWS or through contracting and freelancing or other ways of employment?
Sure. So before I answer that, I'm an employee and I'm now an employer. So I do have around 10 staff here in the Philippines. I also hired fresh graduates and of course experienced folks. So there's two different perspectives. I can provide you a perspective on employee and a perspective of an employer like me, or from like myself. So first and foremost, of course they'll say, "Oh, you don't need certifications because you only need experience, right? Oh yeah, I have 10 years of experience, 2 decades of experience, or even 3, right? However, as you know, experience may not be enough. Let me repeat that. It may not be enough. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working on a company, big company, and you're working there for 10 years now. You're only constrained on the technologies of that one company. Probably, yes, you can do, let's say, IBM web servers, or probably Java or J2EE or something like that, right? And yeah, for instance, you can, of course, you have your EC2 instances and everything like that. But again, you're constrained in one company or on your one set. I have to believe me because I've been working for, as mentioned, 12 different companies, different contracts, and a short-term contract, long-term contract. And so each company is quite different. Each company have their own set of architectures, right? So going back to the question, is an AWS certification enough to land a job? I would say it can give you that advantage to stand out from your peers. Again, if there's a job that pays $1,000 per day, do you think the employer will like, okay, there's 2 employees here, they both know Java, they both know everything. So what's the thing that stands out? What's the competitive advantage of one person? Of course, if you have a certification, you're almost the same, but you have a certification, you have the advantage. You raise from the bar, right? And of course, from okay, so that's the employee's perspective. In the employer's perspective, as an employer, I would say I even hired like a fresh graduate, right? I hired that guy actually. Actually, right now he became an AWS community builder as well. He's Jerome Pagat-Batan, no? But back then he's a fresh graduate and everything because he took an AWS certification exam. He's a cloud practitioner certified. I hired him. No, why? Because out of there's a lot of companies or even employees, a lot of employees that they actually have the same set of skills. So what's the difference? How can how can that person that I'll choose help my company more, right? So of course, I'll be partial to that person who has certification. Of course, again, it's not a quote unquote. It will ensure that you have the job, right? Land the job, but it can provide you that advantage. So think about it, just the advantage.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When you look at a resume, it's like someone who has a certification, they can demonstrate that they know AWS versus someone who doesn't have a certification. But then
Mm.
again, a certification, 2 people with a certification, they might prefer one who has previous experience. So I get what you're saying. It's not an easy question to answer
Yeah.
because there's so many different factors. But
If
that's
I
some
may
really
ask
good
as well,
advice.
right? If I may ask, yeah, you actually ex-employee, former employee of Amazon. Do you have a certification back then when they hired you, or?
So my situation was a bit different. I started off as an intern at AWS and I
Okay.
was in a non-technical team. So they
Mm,
didn't require any cloud skills or technical skills because the work I was doing was more on the sales enablement side rather than the technical
mm,
side. So for me, I did it. But what happened was before I transitioned from becoming an intern to an associate solutions architect, I thought
mm.
to myself, okay, I need to upskill my cloud skills because I know that they give me some time to, like build my technical skills during my first few months of the role. But I wanted to build my skills before then during my internship. So that's why I started my certification journey to prepare
Yeah.
myself for the solutions architect role. And I would say it was really helpful. Because when I started the job, a lot of the things started making sense. Like it started actually clicking in my brain. Like it made sense
Yes.
because a lot of like the theoretical knowledge and the things that I'll do, like build hands-on like bits and pieces, it actually all just formed together and like made I think it just made sense essentially when I started building actual cloud projects and build
Yes.
demos for customers. I was like, oh, I've come across this before. I've come across this service. I know what this service does. So yeah, from my perspective, certifications, not just enough, not just a factor for your resume, but also can help as a starting point for your cloud learning. Yeah, thanks for the question, John. Next question we have, I'd like to go to the audience now. A few people have asked some questions. So first question is, how do you transition from an established on-prem virtualization admin role to cloud position without starting over in an entry-level job? So I get this question a lot. Sometimes people come from different industries within tech. Like they might come from like a on-prem background, but then when they go into the cloud industry, they don't want to start off as like a junior role or like an intern. Do you think that's possible without having to start over? Yeah, just wanted to get your opinion on this.
I would say so. The question is, for this person doesn't have a cloud experience, right? But only on-premises experience, right? So like servers, probably routers and switches. Am I right? So if
Yeah.
that's the, I would say, and I'm a very optimistic guy. You know, yes, you can. It depends on again your focal point, your goal, and your indomitable spirit to take your goal. So in my experience now, the reason why I'm quite optimistic is because I've seen the job market. No? Sometimes they can hire people. Okay, okay, let's go. Even though you're not really qualified, 100% qualified, if the price is right, promise, okay, I think he's good enough already, and he doesn't ask for a high salary, right? I can train that guy. So for companies, they have this mindset. Okay, even though it's not 100% knowledgeable or even certified, I can. They have this training program, right?
Mm.
And so yes, so technically employers can even hire you, and even though you don't have that 100% skills. But of course, most companies they need okay, I need cloud certification and everything. But yeah, but like what Linda Viva said right yesterday on the live stream,
Hmm.
she mentioned that you can learn from the job. It's actually very true. Right now, there's ChatGPT, like very good machine learning, and there's a lot of again different AWS services come along the way that are not available 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you honestly, it's a lot of learnings to do. So if someone told you I am an expert in cloud computing, you have to take it with a bit of optimism, of skepticism, because it's
Hmm.
quite new. All of these are quite new. It's like 2 or 3 years old, right? So you have the capability or the opportunity to learn more of these new things. And if you have your hands on your exercise or projects, you can even tell your employers, hey, I was able to do this in AWS. So again, I'm not even though I don't have corporate experience, but well, I do have this this practice exam. I have this projects that I can even showcase to you. I have this, let's say, pro bono work, meaning to say, okay, do you know this simple project like freelance project or even a pro bono, meaning
Mm.
there's let's say you have a church or you have a let's say non-profit organization. You've provided their website or let's say mobile app or even any solution. You can even do that and you can present it to your resume. I've done that actually. So yeah,
Yeah.
the just don't be bogged down with what's this? I'm not certified. No, you have to take it. No, you have to take a chance. Like you have to take a shot. You have to shoot.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
yes,
exactly. Yeah, that's very inspiring because I know sometimes people think that you have to come from like a linear pathway in that you go from like cloud engineer to solutions architect or like transition from cloud role to cloud role, but you can actually go from there's a lot of people who come from non-linear pathways who then move into the cloud. So yesterday was a good. Yesterday we had a live stream, and that was some good
Yes, I was
examples
there
of
as
that
well.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Another question we have from the chat is, do you need a good foundation of networking skills, when you start off with learning cloud? And this sort of ties into the fourth question that we have on the screen, which is, are there any prerequisites with learning cloud? Like, is there any barrier that people have to learn coding first, learn networking, learn any other technology before they learn cloud, or can they just learn cloud straight away?
Again, it depends on the project. This magic phrase, it depends. No?
Yeah.
Of course, if for example you have like serverless application or Lambda function or simple like that, of course you have to learn Python, right? Or even Java if you have an elastic beanstalk stack. For this one, so if you want to take the AWS certification exam, there are actually no prerequisite. No, you can take go straight to the specialty if you want to. You can go straight for professional. There's no prerequisite. But for this one, in terms of learning the cloud, I would say, of course, just the foundational one. And everyone has Google, right? So you can Google things or you can ask ChatGPT, okay, how to
Yep.
create me an API or a WebSocket API that provides me something like that. I would say not really prerequisite. So okay, so the proper mindset is don't think this prerequisite is a prerequisite, a hard wall that you have to. Oh, I'm not. Oh, I don't do that. Again, you should have your spirit, indomitable spirit. You have this. That gusto, that spirit that, hey, I can do it, I can learn that. Because in reality, even professionals like us, how can I how can I change this thing, or how can I find an item in Unix? Sometimes even professionals have to rely on Google. Sometimes we forget about things. It's like, for example, in coding, right? I need to create maybe a Lambda function or something like that. Sometimes we're not perfect, no. So again, moving back, the prerequisites are not really prerequisites. It depends. I think the hindrance will be yourself, honestly, because if all again the information, the resources are already there. Honestly, you just have to take it. You just have to be don't be afraid, and just try it, and everything will be miraculously open the doors for you. So yes, that's the thing. Coding
Yeah.
wise, no, not really. No. So the prerequisite is yourself. No, you have to be available. You have to be willing to learn. That's it.
Exactly. Especially starting off with something like just the cloud practitioner certification. I know every video course I've come across, even if there are new concepts that are introduced, they will pretty much explain it from the basics. And if you don't know anything, if there's terms that like are completely unfamiliar, as you mentioned, you kind of just learn on the job. You Google it, you use
Mm.
ChatGPT, a lot of it is learning on the go. Even people working in tech for a couple of years, they will still have to search things every single day,
True.
because there's new product updates and new services that come up all the time.
True. Yeah.
So really good advice there. Another few questions actually on people asking about like the best career path to become a DevOps engineer, best career path for network and cloud engineer, and then people asking if you need like a college degree to land a job. So I'm trying to think how we can answer all of these questions at once, because they have a common theme of how do you map out your career journey based off of the role that you would like. I know we talked a bit about this before, but do you have some extra advice for people who are asking when they already have a specific role in mind, how they can map out their learning and career journey?
Sure. Um, so this is coming from me with again work with 12 different companies and 3 different countries. So I would say start backwards. So look, for example, if you're in Australia, go to seek.com.au. If you're in Singapore or maybe in Asia, Job Street or probably Monster.sg. If you go to Canada, probably Workopolis or something like that. In the US, Monster as well, or Indeed or Dice.com. So go to those job sites that I mentioned, and then look for the actual the job specification, the job requirements. For example, they need, okay, I need usually you'll see there, okay, I need Unix experience or Python experience or something like that. So and then on a piece of paper or Google Word doc, you can map out, out of these 10 different roles, job postings, these job postings, the common denominator is always SQL or Linux experience. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Mm. Yep.
that's how you start off. No? So then from there, you will see the market. You will feel the job market. Hey, lately there's a lot of jobs right now that asking for or looking for this particular skill or this particular certification. Right. I used to do
Yep.
that because I know that's how you get $1,000 per day salary.
Mm.
As a contractor, of course, that's what actually what we do. It's very popular in Sydney. It's quite normal. Of course, 3 months contract, that's okay. 4 months contract. I'm always that's actually my that's the reason why I have like 12 different companies, because after one contract, for example, they
Yep.
gave me, let's say, $500 per day. Okay, the second contract, that's $600 per day, and then second 700. It goes on top. So
Hmm.
that's the progression. Again, you have to understand the job market. Yeah, you have to
Understand
feel
the
it.
job
Yeah,
market.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
there in the job sites. It's there. So that's one thing. So again, you can focus on that one. And even though, of course, you don't want to shift jobs, no, that's understandable. But you also have to take a peek once in a while, if to check if your current skill is still updated. Let me give you a
Hmm.
story. Back in Sydney, as mentioned, I was a Java developer, right? And of course, I went to Singapore. I was working with a large bank called Crédit Agricole, corporate investment bank. It's a French bank, Crédit Agricole. And I was there as a Java developer. And, typical bank, it's quite, we're still using JSP or old, that was in 2014. It's quite old Java technology. And then when we moved to Australia, like, wait, yes, they're using cloud, right? I was missing out. I thought that hey, I'm on top of my game, but in reality, I was actually losing all of my, my edge are actually ebbing away. That's the reason why you have to take a peek. You have to be cautious, and it is we're in the IT industry. I think that's I would say the bad thing for us. You have to always be upgraded and everything. But the good thing is, if you want to succeed, really succeed, and if you want to really smash that salary cap, you can really do it by being proactive, by learning a lot, by taking those certifications, by having that advantage that most people don't have. So again, I'm a realist. Again, I'm an optimist, but of course, I'm also a realist. And the real thing is the job posting, right? If I
Yep.
posted an ad, basically in let's say in those job site, I actually have to pay for the job ad, right? So believe
Mm.
me when I say you have to focus on those job ads, job advertisement, because companies like us, we actually pay for that one. And those things that they mentioned that I put there on the job ads is actually the things that I really need, right? So again,
Mm.
that's the technique that you can use in I think in almost country, in almost every country you can do it. And just again, yeah, you also have that you have to be conscious of the job market.
Yeah. I really like that advice of, sometimes just looking at many job descriptions and seeing the
Yeah.
common trends, like
Mm.
maybe whether that's SQL, whether that's coding, whether that's, some sort of cloud experience. Just analyze the common theme to the role you're interested in. And this applies to the questions of people who want to be DevOps engineer, network engineer.
Mm.
Analyze the job description, look for the common trends, and then try and upskill in those areas.
Yes.
Yeah, really great advice there.
Yeah, actually,
Uh,
remember, there's a movement right now, or probably in some news, they say DevOps is dead. Oh, DevOps is dead because there's now a platform engineering, right? Can you see
Oh,
that? You have a
okay.
DevOps engineer, and then what? So it's like it reminiscent of my experience as a Java developer. Java is dead.
Mm.
Oh my God! What will happen to my career? Why? Why is it dead? Everyone in the comments. It's because there's no one wants your skill. No company wants your skill. Why don't you know that? Because you're not checking the job market. So again,
Mm.
you have to be. But of course, there are certain skills that won't go away. For instance, Linux skills, SQL skills. Of course, those are like the foundation of cloud computing, right? So if you want, you can just focus on those things that don't really change a lot. Let's say Linux, SQL, and as such. No? And then after that, but don't depend on one line. No? If you want to be like a full stack developer, feel free to do so. Because if you're a full stack, mean you can go full stack, meaning you can take the programming, front end, back end, and everything. That means the likelihood of you getting kicked out of the company or having no job is quite minimal because you can do front end or back end. However, if you only do in the front end, let's say Angular, for example, Angular 5, and then that specific JavaScript framework died or there's no demand at all, you're in big trouble, right? Or even for cloud, right? Just in case AWS dip their sales or something like that, no, you have to really have that portfolio and skill set, relevant skill set.
Relevant skill set. Yeah.
Yes.
That flows on really well to another question that we have in the chat, which is what are the hot IT skills that are worth learning apart from cloud? I know we talked about some of the foundational ones that will be around for a while. But what are your thoughts on, are there any, if someone was learning IT and learning cloud in 2023, what should they focus on? Like, what are the skills that they should be like focusing their preparation on?
Sure. So aside from the things that I mentioned, like Linux, SQL, and those foundational skills that you have, but of course Git flow, and everything. In my opinion, my personal opinion, I would say learn machine learning. That's one trendy thing because, as you know, it's like after the Chat GPT and the news, right? It actually trumps a lot. It means if someone knows how to wield, how to program with machine learning, they will hire, right? Because right now is I would say, remember as a developer, right? When I used to interview, okay, create a program, something like that, yada yada yada, right? Right now it will be obsolete. Those programming tests will be obsolete because I can just type ChatGPT, okay, give me a Fibonacci sequence, a program that creates a Fibonacci sequence. That can be just one line in ChatGPT, and it will be pasted to the programmer. So in terms of programming, it's actually quite getting easier right now, right? Of course, for platform engineering and everything, it's sometimes the overhead is quite different now. No, it's become easier. So the thing is, I think for companies right now is how can you make or use the machine learning, those concepts to, for instance, lower the cost of the infrastructure. Yes, saving money, and even creating more money to provide solutions. So those things. So again, machine learning, that's one thing. And the good thing about it is it's foundational. The machine learning is basically founded with math, right? You have statistics. You have so math doesn't change away. It doesn't it's constant, right? So if you want to learn machine learning, you can learn the basics. We actually have a course in Tutorials Dojo if you want math fundamentals for machine learning.
Oh,
But
nice.
that's one thing. The other thing is actually for 2023, again, you have JavaScript and everything. It really depends on your goal, again, on your career path. So I would say, going back to the one that I mentioned, check the job market, no? Because it depends. I can say, okay, learn React, learn what else, Flutter, learn those bunch of technologies, no. But it really depends on your goal.
Yeah. Let's take a step back into AWS certification land because we have a few questions now about, people who are studying for certifications. I think someone has, they mentioned they have a certification exam coming up tomorrow. So if we can share some tips with them, that would be great. And then afterwards, we can go back to talking about cloud careers and you can share your tips on freelancing, contracting, and side hustles, which I think will be really valuable. So for everyone watching, make sure you stay until the end for those tips. But for AWS certifications, Jon, you're a leading certification practice exam provider, and now you're offering video courses. So you're really familiar with this space, and you've seen a lot of students pass their certifications and, go on that cloud learning journey. What are your tips on how people can ace their next certification exam? Are there any learning tips that you can share with them?
Sure. The first and foremost, you have to read the exam guide, the official exam guide from AWS. It contains all the information you need. Right? So it's free again. That exam guide, you can just search. For example, if you're preparing for your AWS certification exam for solutions architect, SAE-C03 exam guide, just Google it and then you will see the exam guide, right? On that exam guide, you will see the information there, right? And then the list of task statements. Okay, so for example, for let's say solutions architect, you need to learn how to implement high availability solutions. So of course you have to, and then there's like sub statements there that you have to focus on. So this will be your syllabus. Back in college, right? You have this syllabus of the things that you have to learn on that specific course, right? So that is your guide. Now that's another thing. If you go further down, you'll see the appendix. The appendix section lists down all of the related services. So for example, you will see there, okay, AWS License Manager. Oh, you don't know that. There's actually a list of AWS services that you can focus on, right? And then there's another one, there's a list of not related AWS services. So for example, Amazon Code Whisper. This is not, so you don't need to read about that. So again, that's your Bible, that's your source of truth, the AWS exam guide. And then next, you can do your practice exams or video course or AWS documentation, but again, it's always changing, right? Even I can say, oh, take my video course, take my practice exam. No, I won't say that, but you have to believe the official AWS certification, that guide and the AWS documentation, because that's the source of truth, right? So AWS documentation, read the FAQs, of course, read the user guides and documentation. And then finally, if you're done, do your hands-on labs. You can even create your own website, right? And then when you're creating your website, of course, you can create it in Lightsail or in EC2. I suggest even had put some SSL certificates. So you can actually do two things. No, you can use for SSL. You can use Let's Encrypt if you want. If you're penny pinching, if you want free ones, or of course you can also use the ACM, AWS ACM. So again, for your certification exam, it's also very important that you know how to work on the AWS console, because sometimes just reading and just watching videos, it's not really enough, no. So it's not really enough. You have to really try it out. And lastly, in my personal experience, I hope I'm not biased, because I also provide practice exams, but practice exams, I would say it's very important. So for this one, just want to share, there's a course in AWS Skill Builder called Item Writing for SMEs. So what this course is basically, it's teaching you how to create practice exams, item practice exams. What I mean is, those practice exams actually created by subject matter experts, SMEs, and this one, they're actually quite knowledgeable. So those practice exams, I was even offered to be an SME for AWS certifications, but no. But for this one, what I mean to say is, those practice exams is really helpful, because it's quite different from just doing hands-on, just watching videos. Honestly, because it will. The thing is, for this particular questions, you actually have two questions. So we have probably the primary question, and then you have the secondary details, right? And then on the options, you have two or more related answers. In the cloud, for example, I want to store my, let's say, I want to store my pictures. No, you can store it on an instance store, on an EBS, or probably in S3, or even probably in a database if you convert to base64. No, there's a lot of different ways to do a specific task, right? But there's a certain school of thought, or certain strategy, or certain there's a best practice in doing so. So of course, if you for instance, you store your pictures in Instance Store, if you restarted your virtual machine, it will be gone. It's ephemeral, right? So it's not the best case. If you install it in EBS, yeah, so of course, even though if you restart and stop your EBS instance, or your EC2 instance, it will still the same. However, if that availability zone, there's an outage in that availability zone, your data will be unavailable, right? So what's the best case? It should store it in S3. right? So
Mm.
you see it. So in this particular instance, that's the reason why practice exams are quite very important, because it will help you to have that proper mindset that you cannot do for if you just do it your hands on or your video course. No, you have to have that specific mindset. I would say it's like playing the piano, right? Do you play the piano or musical instrument, Lucy? Everyone?
I used to, not
I
anymore,
used
but
So
yeah,
you have this,
used
of
to.
course, you have this major keys, minor keys, even accidental keys, right? You have the pattern.
Mm.
For example, if you want to, some rocks, okay, what's the chord? So G, B minor, C, D, or something like that, or G, um, E minor, C, D. There's a pattern, right? There's
Hmm.
the pattern. So in terms of AWS, there's also a pattern that you have to do. For the blues, right? Any musicians in the house, there's a lot of seventh key, right? So of course, you have different techniques in music that you can even implement in your AWS. In AWS, there's also patterns, usage patterns that you have to know. So, for instance, again, if you want durability, you can put it in S3. If you want, of course, the most cost-effective, that's a keyword, most cost-effective computing solution, of course, you have to go with Fargate and Lambda, right? There's a pattern, right? There's a pattern. So those are the things that you can focus on. And again, for the practice exam, actually, that's why I like it. No, for instance, no, lately I've been working on with our advanced networking specialty practice exam. I really like it because
Hmm.
whenever I create a scenario, right? What's the difference between a Route 53 resolver DNS firewall between an AWS network firewall? Those are two services, right? Route
Mm.
53 resolver DNS firewall and another one, the AWS network firewall. And how about the firewall manager, or how about the guard duty? No, it's quite it's very interesting to note. So you really have to find the proper solution for your for a particular scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good advice. I think practice exams was really helpful for me as well.
Mm, mm,
Back then, when I was doing, I did 5 certifications during my
mm,
certification journey, and practice exams. I think I learned the most when I got questions wrong, because when I got it wrong and I look at the answers, there's a whole list of explanations on
mm.
why answer A is correct but the rest are wrong. So it's a lot of just making a lot of the mistakes that you would make in the practice exams, so that when it comes to the real exam, you don't fall for the same traps, or like the
Mm.
same sort of
Yes, yes.
sometimes services might look very similar, but they have like little details or little features that are different. So it's
Yes.
really good to learn that through kind of like trial and error, through making mistakes in the practice exams.
Mm.
Hands-on practice exams, watching videos, a combination of the three would be really good
Yes, yes.
during the
It
cloud
depends.
journey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For
Uh,
this one as well, right? Yeah. And then they said that okay, you don't need to. Some people, if I may add, no, they said you
mm,
don't need certifications. You need experience, something like that. I would say again, let's going back. No, going back, these exams are actually created by subject matter experts from the US or so, and I really like it because when they do those scenarios, actually, I can even implement it. I even implemented some of them on my startup. No, we're actually I wrote a story before this startup, the Tutorials Dojo that we have. For the past like almost last year, we have almost zero AWS bill. AWS zero bill because we have a lot of credits, and of course we were able to leverage on the serverless technology and everything. So it's massive,
yeah.
no? And those of course scenarios or the certifications, it will have the proper mindset for you, because again, no, again, experience is not enough, I would say, because it might be constrained on your specific company only. So you have to think bigger. To be honest, no, that's why I like I like this the job, this particular business. It's because it opened me to a lot of it's like Pandora's box. A lot of things open to me. It's like what's Pilot Light, or what's the 7 R's of migration. There's a lot of things going on, and I didn't even know, right? So for this one, in terms of solutions architecture, in terms of yeah, in everything in IT, even creating a business, a profitable business, that's actually a gift that AWS provided me. And another thing, no, I actually even applied for Amazon Web Services. Yeah, and then for
Oh.
that one, I was yeah, I applied there, and then I even saw there, for the SD, an SD position. And you know
Hmm.
what? One of the questions there is, of course, you have the coding exercises, coding test. Then the second test will be, of course, the Amazon leadership principle, and the last one is actually how to it's like there's a task there that says, okay, build me a Twitter, or build me an Instagram, or build me a TikTok. So for this
Yeah.
one, there's a question there in of course in AWS interview, and then you have to come up with those solutions architecture. So again, if you know this all of these things, oh yeah, I can do it. As you need cost effective, I can do it in Lambda, and then of course you can have use Amazon's CloudFront functions to make a customized CD and logic and everything like that. Again, this certification is not just for your career; it can also be helpful in some, of course, job interviews. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, pretty much that's it.
A lot of questions that we've been asked again around, like I think, when you mentioned about the 1,000 USD a day, that was pretty cool. And people are asking, how do you land a contracting job? How do you land a freelancing job? So I think this brings us to the final question for today's session, which is, how do you improve your cloud career in 2023? Which is what we have on the screen, but more specifically, aside from just applying to a traditional job, let's say within AWS or within a cloud provider, or in a full-time job, what are some other ways that you can like earn money through AWS that is like not directly through a job?
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot. For example, YouTube. Yeah, and you can like Lucy's doing right now. She, of course, providing information, helpful information for everyone. So what you can do is just YouTube, right? You can even become a vlogger, or probably TikTok. I would say TikTok.
TikTok, the
You know,
future. Yep.
like TikTok, even right now, but it's actually crazy. TikTok is growing rapidly, and you have a lot of viewers now. So if you
Yeah.
want, you can also do that. Earn TikTok money. And what else? AWS IQ. So there's a program in
Mm.
Amazon Certifications. AWS IQ can, as long as you're certified, you can get contracting jobs or freelance jobs. That's another thing. It's only available in certain countries, but you can try it out. What else? You can even do a probably, for instance, no. If you want to be an instructor, you can be an AWS authorized instructor. So that's another thing. If you want to have a side job of an AWS instructor, you can also do that. And actually, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can even create your own business if you want to. For instance, you have okay, you have this. Of course, you can do it in freelance mode, or if you want, you can create a solution, your own solution using AWS services. So actually, that's what I did. No, again, Tutorials Dojo was already existing back then, but I actually changed the business model for the Tutorials Dojo. We focus on the cloud, right? So again, we became a cloud provider and everything like that now. So it's actually, or for instance, even right now, we want to move out to training, right? You can be a training partner, for instance, or even you can have your own contract job. You can be a main contractor, and then you can subcontract several people under you, and then get a contract from the government, if you know a contact for that one, or a corporate. So I would say the opportunity are endless. No, it really depends on you. Yeah, so that's why the reason why earlier this in their talk, it depends on you. You have your heart, you have your indomitable spirit, or whatever. Your yeah, it's true. In reality, you have to be biased in action. So don't be paralyzed by, okay, I don't know this. No. So those are the things. Another thing I
Mm.
would say, in the chat, I see Stephen Sennett. Hello there. It can also be
Hi,
an
Steven.
AWS community builder. Yes, Stephen sent AWS community builder. Be active in the community, right? So for this one, you can gain, of course, a connection to your fellow IT professionals, or even strike a deal. I believe that. Yeah. So again, the possibilities are endless. So you have to be biased for action, right? You don't have to be sit idly. Oh, there's your prerequisite. No, those are just silly excuses. You
Yeah.
have to, yeah, you have to try it out. No, so yeah, that's my piece of advice. It's always for me. I'm a realist, but of course I'm very optimistic in the future, because I know I can do it. Like, okay, I'll do it. I'll take a shot. No? So for
Mhm.
whatever you do, just take the shot. So for instance, there's a job opportunity right now. I don't think I'm not qualified, but just put on the very beautiful cover letter, modify your resume to fit on the job description, and then just apply. So again, I can't stress this enough, but just do it.
Yeah. I'm really glad you're sharing this perspective because it's not something a lot of people tend to talk about, when it comes to cloud learning, because a lot of it is just on your mindset and, just making sure that you don't have any self-limiting beliefs and make sure
Mm,
you do your research, right? Because there are normal jobs you can apply for, there's contracting jobs, freelancing, AWS IQ. You mentioned like a whole bunch of other AWS opportunities, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really amazing. And some of them I never really came across when I was at AWS. So it's really cool that there's this huge AWS community out there, huge support system as well for everyone who's learning cloud. So yeah, just really exciting time to be doing AWS certifications, learning cloud, looking for career opportunities in
Mm.
IT. So, John, this brings us to nearly the end of the live stream. We're closing in on the hour. But as always, I like to usually ask people for their top 3 pieces of advice that they would like to leave with all the viewers. If they can just take 3 things from the live stream, what would it be?
All right. I think I'll be repeating myself over and over again about the spirit, the heart. So I'll just give a story. Right. Again, I came from the Philippines. I was born in the slums. I was a squatter. Yeah. Some people they were born in a hospital. I was born in the slums. Do you
Mm.
believe that? Yeah. So my name is actually my real name is John John. No, John John.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it's just actually not name. It's a funny name in the Philippines.
That's a
Again, we're
cool name.
yeah, it's like but I have a lot of insecurities as well. I'm not that tall. I'm doing contracting in Sydney, but I'm 5'5". I'm a very small guy. Then so that's why I have this this magic shoes with me to add more like inches on my height. Because I'm doing contracting. I'm talking to Australians. They're quite tall in different countries. So I'm dealt with a lot of bad hand in life, right? But I was able to succeed because I am biased for action. So I won't take no for answer if I know that I am right, if I know that I'm willing to work for it, right? So for this one, again, I was able to I was able to break that salary cap. In the industry, you have salary cap. What's the salary cap? Salary cap? Is it $10,000 per month? Is it $20,000 per month? 20 grand? No, it's right now I'm earning way more than that because I'm not afraid to grab it. No, because and I actually expect that. I expect that that particular success in life. Why? Because I'm
Mm.
working hard for it. Every waking moment, I am moving closer to my goal. Every waking moment, I'm choosing to move towards to my goal. Again, I hope I'm not. I don't sound like like no, but that's a reality. You have to hustle. You have to hustle. You have to do it. No, you have to take a chance. So yeah, you can say the cloud is not for me or something like that. So you have to try it again, or change strategy and everything like that. So again, I think you have different viewers here. No, if you're living in Australia or in the first world country, you're in good hands. You don't have those issues that we have in third world countries. No, but again, for third world countries or the poorer countries, even poorer in the Philippines, it's really your choice. No? You have to take a stand. And I'm not even saying it like, okay, do this. You have to take a stand. You have to try it out. If it's okay, okay. If someone, let's say, okay, you can't do it, or someone told you, oh, you can't do it, or you're online, oh, you can't get a job because of you don't have a degree. No, I even see people, they were able to get a job without a degree, right? They just show it up. Okay, they just took a chance, and someone took a chance on them. So it's believe me when I say I've seen it already. The opportunities are endless. So you have to just take it. So final word of advice is, yeah, don't forget what I said. Yeah, another word of advice I would say, subscribe to Lucy's channel. I would say, yeah, that's true. If you haven't done so, subscribe it. I would say it's a very good series of helpful videos and everything like that. You will learn a lot, right? From Lucy and from the people around you. The people that Lucy are actually interviewing are very are really good, high class people, and you can learn from them. So that's one piece of advice. So ensure that you subscribe. What else? That's one. Since Stephen Sennett, one of my fellow AWS community builder are here, try to join AWS Community Builder program. For instance, for that one reason basically, if you're an AWS Community Builder, you need to produce at least two or three articles or videos or something like that. So that's a stepping stone. So from that one, from being an AWS community builder, probably you can be an AWS hero or something like that. But whatever you do, just don't be afraid. Just do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jon, for sharing your life story with us, and then all the motivational words of advice. There's a lot of comments saying that they're really motivated now and they're feeling really inspired. So this is great. This is what we want for people, at the start of 2023 to be pumped up and, ready to, really own their career and work towards their career goals, which is amazing. So thank you so much, Jon, again, for joining today. And for those who want to enter the free raffle, for the practice exams, ebooks, and video courses, this is your last chance to scan the QR code, and I'll just drop a link down below. And Jon, we have a few questions asking people asking where they can reach you, like where they can connect with you, view your resources. So do you have a link that we can share with the viewers?
Sure. Again, all of our free courses and of course premium courses is in this link, portal.tutorialsdojo.com. Or of course, you can also reach me on LinkedIn. Just type Jon Bonso, not Jon Bonso, but Jon Bonso in LinkedIn.
Yes.
You'll see me there. You can give me a follow. So,
Yep, I just posted a link to your LinkedIn just in case. So cool. Thanks so much, Jon. We'll talk soon then. All right. Thanks,
bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jon.
Salamat.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.